So greetings everyone, and thank you, Jenette, for accepting my invitation to learn more about you and your Vipassana practice and how it changed your life. This art of living technique benefited me in so many ways that every opportunity I get, I share them. Hence, my latest book titled Twin Flames, Soulmates, and Vipassana, which is available worldwide in Amazon and Barnes and Noble. So before we begin, allow me to share what is Vipassana. Vipassana means to see things as they really are. It is one of India's most ancient techniques of meditation. It was rediscovered by Gautama Buddha more than 2,500 years ago and was taught by him as a universal remedy for universal ills. This non-sectarian technique aims for the total eradication of mental impurities, which results in the highest happiness of full liberation. Since the time of Buddha, Vipassana has been handed down to the present day by an unbroken chain of teachers. The current teachers in this tradition were appointed by the late Mr. S.N. Goenka, who is Indian descent but born and raised in Burma. Before he passed away in 2013, he left behind a comprehensive system for training and appointment of future teachers in the tradition. So I'm grateful that the tradition is maintained in its purest form. So welcome, Jenette. Please tell us about yourself.
Hi, so I'm Jenette Vizcocho. I am a speech therapist. I work mostly with children, and I feel like I am constantly trying to master who I am. Yeah, so getting to know myself better.
That's great. So if you don't mind, I put out a list of questions here just so we can be organized because I want to limit this meeting less than 30 minutes if possible. Okay. So let's just be mindful of our time and make sure that, we answer the questions that I had put out and planned to ask you. So my next question is, I understand that we have different journeys and paths in our lives. And at some point we would encounter something that would just trigger us to search for a deeper meaning. So how did you come to a point in your life where you feel you need to pay attention to your spirituality?
Um, I think I started practicing yoga around a decade ago, and I was doing it mostly to remove myself or distract myself from things that I didn't want to process or think about. And then I just so happened to go to a yoga retreat where I spoke to a life coach, and she told me that I needed to not only examine my actions, my reactions, but to actually explore what are the underlying things behind it. And so it became not an escape so much as like an understanding of the root of my problems, of my actions and reactions, or why I think the way I do. So yeah, it started with yoga, but it got deeper, which I'm glad for.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So how did you learn about Vipassana? Who introduced this to you, or did you search it on your own? Tell us about that.
Okay, so when I started practicing yoga, I was fortunate enough to go to a small yoga community when I still lived in Malate. And one of the yoga practitioners invited me. So Chiki had been inviting me ever since I started practicing yoga. And I think I cannot, I'm not so sure if this is exactly what she said, but it was something along the lines of, you're very talkative, you should try Vipassana. And I thought at that time that it was just a silent retreat. So I was younger. I was in like maybe turning 30 at that time, and I wasn't really that interested in pursuing that. It didn't resonate for me. But then during the pandemic, so around 2020, I remember I would keep checking the Dhammapala website just to see if there were courses. And I know I was doing it yearly, and when I checked this year, there were schedules, and I just had to figure out which dates would fit mine the best. So it was introduced to me, a seed was planted like years and years ago, but I ended up looking for it eventually.
That's awesome. So is this a person still practicing Vipassana?
Yes.
The person who, that's great.
Yeah.
So, when and where did you take your first 10-day course, and how was it like?
So I took the course at Chaong, Quezon at Damapala last October. We ended at November 5th. Um, uh, it was very humbling, for one. It made me go back to the basics. It made me really stay in the moment because we had 10 days where all we were required to do was to be in the moment. It was very hard physically initially and mentally. A lot of things were playing in my head. Initially, songs, like song lyrics, and then it became more about lists that I would come up with, like lists of people I haven't thought of in a really long time, or lists of things I wanted to do once I got out. But eventually, I noticed it became quieter and quieter to the point where the things that maybe would go through my mind would be the things that was going to happen for the day. So it just brought me closer and closer to that particular moment that I was in, which I found very well. First, it was a bit freaky, but it was also very, very calming. And it was it was just nice to not have anything going on except meditation and noticing what's going on in and around my body. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Now, during the 10-day course, was there a point where you wanted to quit?
No.
That's
I
right.
think because it took a while for me to seek Vipassana, by the time I was there, I knew I really wanted to be there. And also because I was reaching a point of burnout in work because I was taking on a lot of work, and I knew that I just wanted that amount of time to be quiet and to just regroup. So I really appreciated the silence, and I really appreciated um, the structure. Yeah.
Do you recall uh, how you were feeling by the fourth day, day four, when the Vipassana technique started?
There was a bit of relief because before that, all we had to do was focus on our like a small area and notice breath and sensation. So it was a bit relieving to finally get to learn the technique bit by bit. And also, it was quite cool for me to realize all these sensations happening in the body all at once. And even learning to not attach too much um, thought or emotion to a particular pain or to a, like something that I feel like I should be moving at a particular time. Just allowing things and time to pass. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
You were there from, it's not actually full 10 days because we are there on day zero and then we have to stay for day
Mhm.
11. So do you recall any days where, um, just any day that you can remember that's very memorable, and why?
Um, I think what I find memorable for me would be because it was very quiet and I was actually appreciating the silence. I was being more in tune to what was happening in the place, and it's a very beautiful, simple place. I think one time I was walking from the dorm back to the meditation hall, and I saw like a trail of ants, and I tried to find out where they came from and where they were headed. And I also didn't really want to find out where those start and end points were because it was just like a suspension of belief, like it's just magic. So little moments like that, or noticing something that none of the other practitioners did and not being able to share it with them. So it's like small secrets that I hold. The moon was always like making a big show because it was full moon during that time.
Oh,
So
nice.
nice little things like that. The quiet moments after a meal, and yeah, we were being made fun of because everybody was gathered like outside, but we were all looking away at a different direction. But it still felt, there was closeness, but there was also like um, isolation, and it was just a nice mix of it. So yeah, I like those small moments.
How was your day 10 like, where you can where the noble when the noble silence finally ended?
So before the noble silence, we were taught, before the noble silence was ended, we were taught the metta meditation. And I really, really liked that meditation. And I felt like I was like super, like I felt like I was riding a roller coaster where I was pushed against the chair. And then I could just feel all this energy flowing. And I was a bit afraid of having to break the silence because I felt so at peace. And I felt like
Mm,
the words that um, Goenka was sharing about happiness and I hoping everybody feels the same joy and peace. Like I really enjoyed that, and then I didn't know how it would be when once I broke the silence. But the moment I step outside, everybody was talking, so I was like, okay, it's not so hard after all. Even if my normal for the last 10 days was like complete silence and like trying to mind my own business. So yeah, it was great. It was great to share with everyone and to hear their stories or even find out that our little stories or perceptions about each other wasn't exactly true. So yeah, a bit funny. Also,
I,
it broke any awkwardness or tension that might have been hanging for the last 10 days.
yes, that's good. Thank you for sharing that experience.
Sure.
Now, how did this Vipassana practice change your daily life?
It's gonna what I noticed for like really small things, because I have the tendency of trying to distract myself, especially when I'm more stressed. So I remember I have this game that I play on my phone, and it was designed in such a way where it's like the lottery or the casino where you keep playing over and over again. And I stopped playing before entering Namapala, and I haven't opened it since. And it's not me stopping myself from doing it, but it's me just no longer needing that to amuse or entertain myself. So little things like that, or even changing some of my daily habits where maybe if I am having a meal, I like lots of things playing in the background, like there's a TV on, my phone is in my hands, um, and instead preferring more silence or less things going on. It's not a perfect machine, but I do notice when I get overloaded, and then I try as much as possible to get away from that. So yeah, that, and perhaps living more in reality, which is what I really appreciated about the practice, because I feel like I've been doing a lot of meditation prior to this, where it's manifesting and gripping something or it's avoiding something. So I search for a certain meditation that pushes me away from that. But this one is just appreciating exactly where I am. And I feel like in day-to-day life, that happens as well. Yeah.
Okay. So my next question is actually related to the last one. And then you did give examples already. So let me ask anyway, in case you may have remember some other things. So give us examples of what you were doing before that you had to change as a result of taking the course. So
Mm,
you did mention about some of those things.
yeah.
Anything else that you want to share?
I think in terms of work, and I know I shared this with some of my batchmates, and most of us agreed. So I work with children with special needs, and that requires an amount of patience. And I feel like in the practice that I have developed, I do have that. But I know when I'm just being patient because I have to be, and I feel like since coming back, I'm less reactive when a child is maybe trying to test my patience or doing something other something that wasn't part of like what we were discussing or our plan. So I try to examine or ask what's going on and what they want, and I feel like it's helped regulate both parties. So I'm more open, I'm more patient, I'm more relaxed, and the child is as well. So I feel that's like something that I've changed. I don't react so quickly, or have, I don't talk right away, like, or offer solutions right away.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's great. Thanks for sharing that. So who would you recommend this 10-day course to and why?
I feel this course would be good for anyone who's just well, number one, curious about meditation. It doesn't even have to be that they have been practicing any kind, but anyone who's also curious about getting to know themselves better, like their thought patterns, their action patterns,
Mm,
especially their reaction to sensations, which was like a very big like eye opener for me. And I know I've read it before, I've heard it before, but the actual application of it and experiencing it for hours at a time is so different than just hearing about it. So anyone who's curious to get to know themselves better or to manage their emotions better, their reactions better, I feel like it would be a very beneficial and maybe a lifelong skill or practice that they can have.
is any of your family member uh taking the course? No, not yet.
No, no. But I am happy that they're more open because
Yes.
I remember before if I would tell them like all the weird things that I would do, they would be like, "What's happening? What's going on?" Like, "Okay ka lang?" But now they're like, "Okay, just text us when you're home." So things like that. Yeah.
That's good. Um, any final message you want to convey to the millions of audience that will reach this
Well,
video?
um, yeah. Be curious, I guess. Be open and um yeah, sit with it. Sit with everything and it will pass, I guess.
Follow the rules, right? Because
Yeah.
that's very important. There's a reason why they have this long list of things that you have to remember and
Mm-hmm.
you have to accept not to do while in the
Mm-mm.
course. And
Oh yeah.
definitely there's rationale behind all of those reasons why.
Yeah.
So,
It all makes
uh,
sense in the end.
yes, definitely. So, this is out of script, but I'm gonna ask this because I thought about it. What
Okay.
is there anything that you did during the course that you shouldn't have done? Because most of the students that I
Oh,
came
okay.
across, you know, we share our experiences and I find things out. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't follow the rules the first time that I did a 10-day course because there was a reason for what I did, but that's another story. But yeah, I let you share that.
I feel like it wasn't really that hard to not follow the rules, but if there's anything that I know I did, I deliberately did it. I think because when I would get fatigued from all the meditation, I would end up looking at people and reading their shirts and trying to figure out who's this person, where did they come from, and like, yeah, it was hilarious because everything I concluded about people was wrong, which
Yes.
I feel is a telling for life in general, where you look at someone and you have an idea about them and it's set in stone, but they're never just that. So I feel that breaking the no eye contact rule, I like look at people and they're like, oh no. But I feel like it was my entertainment, I guess, or like my way of distracting myself or like delaying having to do the work again. But yeah, just that.
Was it difficult to stay silent and not talk to anyone?
No, no, actually, I really enjoyed it. And when people would tell me like you're a very talkative person or you're a social person, I told them, yeah, but in my mind, I knew I was going to be silent, and it wasn't like people were breaking the rules, so it wasn't difficult to maintain silence. I actually appreciated when everybody was quiet, how it was like a dance, and people were just giving way and taking their turns and waiting and being extra helpful or polite without using their words. Just leaving things, leaving doors open, handing like canisters of like tea or coffee. So it was, yeah, it was very nice. So I was quite afraid that once you started talking, it would be a different dynamic. But of course, it wasn't.
That's good. Anything strange that had happened during the course that you were not expected that something like that would happen?
Well, I feel like maybe I was reading too much into the bodily sensations that were happening. Like, let's say when we were practicing the technique much deeper toward the end of the course, and it was more of like really like scanning and threading through the body. And I would hear little pops going off in my ears, and I had to ask my teacher, what does that mean? And then she would tell me something like, don't read too much into it, it's just a sensation. But in
Mm,
my mind, I was thinking each pop was like a sankara that was melting away, and that's probably not true. But yeah, nothing extraordinary. Just maybe weird sensations going through the body, or like maybe weird conversations that I would have. Like what, like I would be part of the conversation and I would take part of the other person I'm talking to, and I'm just carrying out a conversation while in meditation, and I'm like, should I continue this? But it just flowed, so I just allowed it to happen. Another thing, I would have dreams and I would remember them, and the next day they might continue, but I would also be able to tell myself, okay, that's enough, I want to dream about something else, and then something else would actually pop up. So just things like that, that maybe in my normal life back here in Manila, I would forget as soon as I wake up. I'll remember, oh, I had a dream and that's it. Or I
yes,
dreamt of this, but not remember details or conversations, but those were vivid. So yeah.
that's that's interesting. Good to know. Well, is there anything else that you want to add? Because I don't have any more questions. If I missed something that you still want to share with everyone, that uh, again, the whole reasoning why we're doing this talk is because we wanted to create awareness, right?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
anything that you can share, please do.
Well, I guess if you do decide to try the course, actually stick to it and commit to the 10, 11, 12 days that you're there.
Yes.
I think of it as like recalibration of like your mind, your soul, your body, because a lot of things shift during that time, and you feel like, oh, but you're just sitting, you're just meditating, but actually a lot of inner processes are happening. And so commit to it, and do it for yourself. Don't do it for anyone else. Yeah,
They don't call it a major surgery of subconscious mind for nothing, right?
that's true. That's true.
Exactly. So, again, thank you for the opportunity to learn about you, Jeanette, and your practice.
Thank you.
And if anyone is interested in learning about this technique, they can go to dhamma.org, where they will find a 10-day course nearest them. Currently, we have 240 centers and 142 non-centers worldwide. So thank you all for watching, and may you be happy, peaceful, and liberated from your miseries. Be happy. Thank you, Jeanette.
Thank you.